there's a broader thing that's involved here, right? The point is that the Drain the Swamp, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, their whole brand, the whole thing was that, look, there are these criminals in D.C. and look at all the things that they've done. And they would all talk, it wasn't just Epstein, they would all talk about Russiagate, the 2020 election. I mean, look, what these guys are claiming, and I don't know about the 2020 election, but they're 100% right on Russiagate and Epstein when they were talking about it before they sold out, is that they go, look, the intelligence agencies framed a presidential candidate, and then the sitting president, they framed him of treason in order to unseat a democratically elected president of the United States of America. That is the biggest scandal in the history of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Like these are huge crimes, sedition, treason, very serious crimes.
And nobody's paying them.
They locked down the whole country based on pseudoscience. They covered up a senile president. They covered up a pedophile ring. And now you guys are in charge of the Justice Department. How many indictments?
Yeah.
Zero. And then you're going to sit there and Kash Patel is going to tweet out a picture of like some dude throwing a sandwich at a cop and go, we got him, because this is Kash Patel's America, boys. People don't get away with crimes here.
Yeah.
Like that's, oh, wow, great job. Wow, Kash Patel, we're all so impressed that you brought down Chauncey Billups.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's great, you know? Like, that's great, but like, that's not exactly what we were voting for.
What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of Observations of an Idiot. I'm your host, Jay, a.k.a. Guest Pop, a.k.a. The Idiot, DP for short. And as customary, please check out my rules. Follow these awesome accounts I showcase unless stated otherwise. Well, I have officially unfollowed Dan Bongino and Tim Pool as of yesterday. But you do you in that regard. Thank Chief Nerd for that opening post. It looks like Dave Smith and by extension Theo Vaughn are now on Bongino's hit list. You know who isn't? Tim Pool, who is also calling out anyone and everyone questioning Captain Hairline and his non-accomplishments while serving as the deputy director of the FAB. Would that have anything to do with Tim's exclusive deals with Rumble and Dan being a major player in Rumble Corporate? Based on the observations of this idiot, me think so. Understand the grift here, folks. I followed and supported Dan for years. Before he had a podcast even, he sold himself as the ultimate American warrior and defender, squeaky clean and beyond compromise. As a result, we all supported him and he soon built an empire, becoming rich as fuck along the way. Then we heard he was tapped for deputy director of the FBI. This idiot here thought, why not director? And then the Maria Bartiromo interview. What did I see? A compromised man. Not compromised in the sense that they had dirt on him. Compromised as in, hey, we know what you promised your podcast viewers, but here's what you're actually allowed to say and do. Welcome to the big leagues, rookie. And that was enough to break him. Why? Because he honestly believed that he was the man that he convinced the rest of us he was. What did he accomplish? As Steve Baker points out, now we are the enemy for simply asking, what the fuck, bro? You did absolutely nothing, and we're to blame? If we're black-pilled, it's because of you. It's because of Director Vindaloo above you. All that talk, and this is the only thing you give us? You lock up this guy? But only after the aforementioned Steve Baker gives you more than enough probable cause that it's a closeted lesbian Capitol Police officer that placed those inert pipe bombs. Then after 5 years of waiting, you put together an arrest of Cuba Gooding Jr. in 2 quick weeks? Snap of a finger? You spent more time trying to find those within the Bureau who are communicating with Kyle Seraphin than going after any of the people that you promised us would go down. I can only assume that the agents talking to Kyle are probably the same agents who at one time spoke to you on the down low. But once you got in and they realized you were a phony and that they backed the wrong horse, they moved on to him. Who's gonna leak to you now, bro? See, Tim Pool wasn't sleeping in a car for near 8 months in 2025. I was. Dude is a millionaire a few times over. That's why he's got no concern. He's willing to take you all over his face. So after my life was turned upside down, me, retired murder police, I paid my dues, I have 0 vices, fleeced in a relationship and left out on the street, which is no one's fault but my own. Problem is, I couldn't rebuild in 8 months because of the system. A system you promised to correct. I'm eating gas station pizza every morning, noon, and night. And this shit was happening with these inbred Somalis in Minnesota and elsewhere, and you all knew it? They're living in $1 million homes while I'm moving around constantly because the bank wants to repossess my mobile home, aka Jeep. And you give us Brian Cole? By the way, once that case falls apart, it is now conveniently beyond the statute of limitations to charge the Subaru driver cop. Cool story, bro. Maybe we're blackpilled because the administration can lock up Maduro, which, by the way, I don't object to, but not Keith Ellison caught on audio conspiring with Babatunde Shaka Khan. Check out Robert Bombs. Trump's second term justed. COVID arrests, 0. 2020 election arrests, 0. Russiagate, 0. Spygate, 0. J6 Fedsurrection, 0. Epstein, 0. Or how about on the 5-year anniversary of J6, you don't go after the cops, which, by the way, as of yesterday, now you can't. One being the aforementioned dude/woman alleged pipe bomber. We now know she was firing less lethal rounds at people's heads, making them, by policy, lethal rounds. That is deadly force. The first and only shots fired were by Capitol Police before anything was broken or breached. The last round fired was also by Capitol Police. And this cunt's reward, he gets a piece of the Somali daycare scam? Again, what did you do? How dare we ask questions, right, Tim Pool? Now Dan is trying to come at us with his old tough guy routine. Well, this will always be the Dan I see going forward. A compromised phony. And I'll end it with what that little bitch should have said. He had enough room on his forehead to write this all out and take a selfie. From that Jen Chang. Dear Dan Bongino, allow me to write the letter to America you should have. Dear America, I am resigning from the FBI. I went in with a lot of ideas and plans, but the Bureau is far too compromised for an outsider to make any improvements. I overestimated what I was capable of and was not up for the job. I realized that I put far too much emphasis and weight on my own hurt feelings and bruised ego. And I'm sorry, because of it, I've lost the support of many critical thinkers, aka black pillars now, who used to give weight to my words. Instead of course correcting, I attacked and blocked them like a little faggot. This was not the way. Again, I am sorry. I blew it. I will be taking some time away from the public eye to focus on my family and do some work on myself. If and when I return to the mic, it will be with humility and a willingness to admit I'm fallible. Thank you. Sincerely, Hairline. Later, bitches.
Get him, Jay.
I'm not a cop.
You got DP'd.